What is a subsidy? A subsidy is a financial assistance or support offered by the government or another organization to assist in lowering the cost of goods, services, or specified activities for specific persons, industries, or sectors. Subsidies are often offered to foster economic growth, the production or the consumption of specific goods or services, or to assist disadvantaged groups or regions. Direct cash payouts, tax rebates, discounted loans, price supports, grants, or insurance guarantees are all examples of subsidies. Subsidies can be given to individuals, businesses, farmers, students, researchers, or specialized industries such as healthcare, education, agriculture, or transportation. Subsidies in higher education can be a complicated and contentious issue. While subsidies are intended to make higher education more accessible and cheap, they also raise a number of concerns. Students may confront major financial impediments to higher education if subsidies are insufficient. Subsidies, on the other hand, can put a strain on government budgets and perhaps lead to resource misallocation. Is subsidy important to the tertiary education sector? What is the story behind it? Let's dive deep into this matter.
It's still too early to say. Menyeru syarikat
dalam negara akan diserahkan.
Juta ringgit untuk peringkat matrikulasi asasi ilmu-ilmu yang
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, salam UiTM di hatiku, and salam Malaysia Madani. I am Nur Alia Ariana. You're now with me. In this documentary, I will take you through a series of expert explanations on issues concerning subsidies in Malaysia. Subsidy. According to Dewan Bahasa and Pustaka, is government assistance in the form of money or material given to specific parties such as corporations, farmer groups, and so on. Subsidy is a measure taken by the government to alleviate the burden placed on the general public. However, the provision of these subsidies has increased the government's financial burden while also causing dissatisfaction among a few people. This is rooted from the government provides equal subsidies to the entire population without taking into account the ability to a specific group. According to the Malaysia Now article, the weight of the subsidy system on public universities, the fee payment subsidy offered by public universities is very low because the government covers 90% of this existing fee. Total tuition fees for professional majors such as accounting, dentistry, or pharmacy at a public university are around 40,000 ringgit for 4 years or 8 semesters. Majors in social science, education, language, and arts ranging in price from 22,000 ringgit to 25,000 ringgit depending on the university. Students are charged between 2,000 ringgit to 3,000 ringgit per semester, with the rest covered by the government. Nur Azan Ghazali, former Vice Chancellor of University Kebangsaan Malaysia UKM, who led the university for 5 years, said that many students and members of the general public benefited from the subsidy system. Now, we'll hear from some experts who are well versed in the complexities of finance and economics. First and foremost, Dr. Haslinda binti Ibrahim will provide an explanation. She is a lecturer at University Science Malaysia USM who teaches finance. Okay, let's get back to the interview. Before moving on, I would like to tell you that we are doing a reenactment for our interview session from WhatsApp conversation between Dr. Haslinda and our interviewer.
Yes, come in. Good morning, Doctor. Good morning, Dr. Haslinda. May I interview you with some questions regarding subsidies in tertiary education?
Yes, sure.
May I have a seat?
Yes.
Right, so we have 5 questions in total. Alright, so I will proceed with the first question. So, in your opinion, Doctor, what are your thoughts or understanding regarding subsidies that are implemented for tertiary education, specifically in public universities?
In my opinion, National Education Policy amended in 1996 stated that primary education is compulsory in our country. Hence, the Malaysia Education Blueprint from 2015 to 2025 Act as guided by 2025, the Ministry MOHE aspires to increase access to enrollment in higher education. By saying this, the government are serious in encouraging the youngsters to further their education to tertiary level since the Independence Day until now by providing subsidies for tertiary education. Subsidies for tertiary education are a way for government to make higher education more accessible and affordable for students, especially from those from low-income families. The government is aware of this investment and its profit for the country. They can be implemented in a variety of ways such as through scholarships, grants or tax. Also, they can help to reduce the financial burden of student loans as the cost of tertiary education is not that cheap. This can make it easier for students to repay their loans and can also help to reduce the amount of debt that they accumulate. Also, subsidies can help to improve the quality of higher education. This is because they can provide university with more resources to invest in teaching and research. Subsidies also help university establish partnership with industry, government agency and maybe community organizations, fostering collaboration that promote economic growth and development. All in all, subsidies ensure that public university can maintain affordability, deliver quality education, support research and innovation, contribute to economic development, promote social inclusion, and generate long-term benefits for individuals and society as a whole. That's all from me.
Wow, thank you, Doctor. Such a great explanation regarding this subsidy. Okay, for the next question, do you believe that there are any advantages or disadvantages in implementing subsidies in tertiary education? And if so, what are the advantages and also disadvantages?
Of course, I do believe that because there are also some challenges associated with subsidizing the tertiary education. One challenge is, of course, it can be expensive. Government needs to find ways to raise the money or to fund these subsidies. Another challenge is that it can be difficult to target subsidies to the students who need them the most. This is because there is a lot of variation in the financial circumstances of students. As a result, most of subsidies for students in tertiary education institutions nowadays are to be generalized. Students from high-income families are also getting these subsidies. Apart from that, continuous reliance on subsidies can create a sense of dependency for universities. They may become less motivated to seek alternative sources of funding as they expect the subsidies to cover their financial needs. This can lead to complacency and a lack of accountability for efficient resource management and cost effectiveness. Overall, subsidies for tertiary education can be a valuable tool for government that want to increase access to higher education and improve its quality. However, it is important to aware one of the challenges associated with these subsidies and to develop policies that are effective in addressing these challenges.
Thank you very much, Doctor. So, can you share with us your thought on students or the public taking advantage of the subsidy system implemented in our public universities?
Actually, there are a lot of countries in the world, especially those in developing and low-income countries, that does not have this kind of privilege like subsidies. The greatest act would be when one's taking those subsidies for granted by not focusing on their studies and only manage to get minimum score for their course. So when this happens, our country is actually making loss from the education investment as it cannot yield the very best outcome and potential from its human capital that come out from the tertiary education level. The budget allocated can be channeled to elsewhere rather than to those who are taking advantage from the education system.
Alright, so moving on to the next question. In your opinion, Doctor, with the subsidy implemented for tertiary education, do you think that there are any impact of these subsidies upon the expenditure of Malaysia's government budget?
Of course, because as I mentioned before, the government needs to have allocation in the annual national budget that comes from the tax breaks. As in any other industry, education also have its costs and it does not getting cheaper year by year. Education is one of the fundamental aspects in the human's life and our national agenda as well.
Alright, I got your point, Doctor. Moving on to the last question. Is there any impact upon the expenditure, and what are they and how do they affect the expenditure of our government budget?
Actually, this is because the government itself needs to allocate a portion from its total budget for education, be it primary or more advanced level like tertiary. In the recent 2023 Malaysia Madani budget, an amount of 15.3 billion had been allocated for MOHE to achieve many key initiatives. This is an increased number of 1 billion from previous year. Providing subsidies to universities means that funds are directed away from the other potential investment or programs. The decision to allocate resources to universities through subsidies implies forgoing other potential use of those funds, such as infrastructure development, poverty eradication programs, or investment in other sectors that could have a direct impact on economic growth or social welfare. However, realizing the potential of this investment for the long run, subsidies to education has always been a priority for the government. Nonetheless, government is encouraging the people, not only the youngsters, to acquire skills and knowledge for the sake of self-empowerment. When more people empower themselves, the government gains indirect benefits for it for a long term.
Alright, thank you very much, Doctor. This knowledge is truly beneficial for all of us. We wish Doctor the best of luck and thank you again once more.
Thank you too.
Subsidies can be implemented in a variety type of ways, such as through grants, scholarships, or tax breaks. One of the challenges is that it can be difficult to target subsidies to the students who need them the most. That is a very insightful and understandable explanation from Dr. Hasinda. That is all from our first expert. Thank you again, Dr. Hasinda, for your willingness to spend your time with us. Now that we've heard about advantages, disadvantages, and impacts of the subsidy implemented, let's go to our second expert. Our next expert, Dr. Fadila binti Zainal Abidin. She is a lecturer at UiTM Serban 3 campus and teaches the subject economics. This interview was recorded and only audio will be displayed.
Dia punya issue is basically kalau subsidi, like kan in education kan kita ada subsidi kita kan. So kalau government continuously bagi subsidi tu, does it still macam ada benefit to our education system, tapi khususnya to public universities lah.
Okay, in your opinion, do you believe all students attending public university are allowed to accept subsidies that are imposed in tertiary education? Yes, I agree. Okay, supposedly our government proceed with the subsidy program to tertiary education, higher institution, university dan juga kepada student lah. Yang kedua, does imposing subsidies in tertiary education help improve education system? Yes, I also agree with this one, because when government flow in the subsidy to university, dan masa yang sama dia punya facility increase, and then the number of enrollment increase because the fee rate untuk register juga lebih murah. So ni bagi peluang kepada orang ramai untuk sama belajar lah. In your opinion, does imposing subsidies in tertiary education, especially public university, affect university in certain aspects such as infrastructure or facility? Yes, of course. So when government inject more money to university, especially the public university, so they have a better infrastructure, don't have problem with the financial to replace existing or yang dah rosak-rosak tu ke kan. Okay, and money provide more better ataupun facility yang lebih bagus lah. Okay, what are some recommendations that can be done by our government to improve subsidy system in our country's tertiary education? Okay, kalau ikut negara maju, biasanya education free. Tapi developing country ataupun less developed country, dia taklah bagi semua. Okay, because kita punya government pun ada constraint in terms of the financial kan. Sama ada untuk kita fully subsidi the private institution ataupun tak sepenuhnya, depends pada kita punya kewangan government tu lah. Sebab kalau dia fokus sangat sini, nanti ada part lain, sektor lain yang dia tak boleh bagi. Tengok pada government punya financial situation dulu. Sebaiknya dia boleh bagilah, sebab bila education ni tinggi, maknanya ramai orang akan enroll lah. Mana tadi soalan nombor 4 ramai orang akan enroll. So benda ni akan bagi benda yang bagus lah untuk economic growth, sebab kita akan ada ramai pakar, ramai orang yang ada education yang bagus lah. Kita ada banyak expert, okay, untuk bekerja di Malaysia, untuk train youngers ataupun untuk untuk train youngster, ataupun untuk kita bekerja di luar pun akan dapat benefit lah, flow money to Malaysia, sebab dia bayar gaji kita kan. So kita assume kita hantar balik duit tu ke Malaysia. Tapi lagi sekali depends pada government punya situasi. Kalau duit dia tak banyak, okay, mungkin dia boleh subsidi pada universiti untuk crucial part sajalah. Terutamanya fee, mungkin half of the fee subsidized by the government, so the student only pay half of it, or government bagi grant untuk buat research. Bila research grant tu nak banyak, enrollment untuk postgraduate student pun akan naik, sebab orang akan hire RA, research assistant, untuk buat PhD, buat master. Dan untuk lain-lain tu dia boleh hold dulu yang mana tak penting. Ataupun mungkin dia boleh charge fee tu berdasarkan ranking parents punya income, B40, M40, ikut rate berapa subsidi. Itu lagi sekali depends pada government punya financial situation lah. Kalau kewangan kita okey, dia boleh fully funded. Kemudian kalau dia improve, kalau subsidi tu banyak, okay, fasiliti kita bagus, ini akan attract orang luar juga untuk datang belajar kat kita kan. Nombor 5, in your opinion, do you think that imposing subsidy for tertiary education must be continued? Yes. Okay, sebab bila government bagi subsidi pada tertiary education, dia sebenarnya adalah crucial investment for the country. Sebab melalui education ni lah kita boleh, maknanya dengan ilmu yang banyak, orang boleh berniaga dengan ilmu, orang boleh bekerja dengan ilmu, jual kepakaran dia. So benda ni akan bagi benefit pada economic growth, okay, dan juga untuk capai negara kita ke arah negara maju, from developing to developed country. Itulah, ada lagi soalan?
Itu saja.
Macam belik-belik yang saya cakap, faham tak?
Faham.
Macam belik-belik.
Thank you, madam.
Alright, thank you, Dr. Fadlina. Okay, if you look at developed countries, education is usually free. Not fully, but it depends on whether we have enough government finances. I hope Doctor's explanation will be a reflection to our society. Again, thank you, Dr. Fadlina. We already hear from our two experts. Now let us hear from public's opinion. The question given is, does subsidy imposed in tertiary education need to be continued? If so, then why?
In my opinion, yes. Subsidi kepada tertiary education perlu diteruskan. Because subsidies plays an important role nowadays due to economic inflation that we are facing right now. Saya sendiri masih lagi terdapat ramai pelajar yang berasal dari golongan B40 dan M40. Some students may not afford to support the cost of living. Jadi inisiatif seperti subsidi dalam yuran pengajian dapat membantu mereka. And this can help students to pay their school fees. Sebagai contoh, saya sendiri adalah pelajar tajaan Jabatan Perkhidmatan Awam GPA yang melanjutkan pelajaran ke Jepun.
That's all from our public's opinion. Now let us conclude our session. Subsidies can help to cut university registration fees, allowing them to stay affordable to students and promoting economic growth. The government can also provide research subsidies and ensure that postgraduate student prices stay reasonable. Subsidies can encourage student enrollment by lowering the cost of registration at universities for students and their parents. That is the explanation provided by our two university specialists. Naturally, each expert has their own point of view on the problem of fee payment assistance provided to the students by public universities. Well, that concludes our interview for today. It is anticipated that all of the information presented will be beneficial to all of us.